We can all agree that whether you like League of Legends or not, Arcane is legitimately cinema. Kudos to every single artist, writer, and literally every role on that show. With Season 2 out, or about to be out, depending on this video's release day, I wanted to do some Arcane characters as Pokemon. I've done League characters before, but Arcane, well, that's kind of a different story, isn't it? Also, spoilers for Season 1 and possibly Season 2, depending on if they use their League counterpart story for these characters, because I'm gonna be. Let's get straight into it, because I've got 9 characters here with teams to go through. Let's start with the stars of the show, Jinx and Vi.
Hi.
For both Jinx and Vi, I wanted to make them a sort of legendary duo, and I thought that making them both cats was a pretty good idea for them. I mean, I have 3 of the suckers, and they give off so much crazy person at a gas station energy that I can see Jinx in most of them. And I mean, Vi, while not as wild as Jinx, when you see the concept for them, I think you'll be okay with it. For Jinx, I wanted to make her have her iconic rocket launcher fish bones shown at the end of Season 1. Possibly pour one out for my council homies, but in this form it's actually the bones of a shark-like Pokemon, which I reckon it'd be its own Pokemon sort of in a symbiotic relationship with Mania here. Which, you know, I couldn't call Jinx because of this abomination. I had this idea in my head where it would sort of swing the fish bones around for melee attacks as it chomps around. I decided to give a few motifs from Jinx's outfit here and in Vi as well. Nothing too wild so that it looked like it was wearing clothing, but enough where others who saw it straight away knew it was Jinx. Mania, the Chaos Pokemon, a dark and electric type. Deep in the backstreets of a certain city, Mania causes absolute chaos wherever it goes. It has a fondness for explosions and electricity. They carry around a Pokemon that has a similar sentiment for chaos, and Mania will channel their powers through this Pokemon to shower their foes with electric blasts, all while reveling in the damage caused. Mania has a new ability called Get Excited, where whenever Mania defeats an enemy or gets a critical hit, they get a massive boost to their speed stat. Jinx's team would start with a Mania. I'd then go for a Grafaiai, got that sort of Paint Vandal vibes, as well as a Drifblim, Mimikyu, that imposter feeling as well as her dolls, and that hoodie she wears in the preview for Season 2. Absol, as it's a disaster Pokemon and, you know, it's a Jinx and unlucky. And finally, Jinx. No, I'm just kidding, I chose Sharpedo here for Fishbones. I wanted to keep a lot of similar motifs for the Vi cat here. They have hunted down a dragon-type Pokemon that's not specifically Dragonite, but definitely feels a bit too close to Dragonite. Oopsie. But also in the ear flaps between the 2 cats. Originally I had the body be pretty bare in terms of the design and colours, and it made them feel strangely naked, so I gave it some clothing-like patterns. I mean, they are a legendary Pokemon, so they can be a tad over-designed. It ain't no problem. I love playing Vi in League. That's right, I waited till now to show you I had bad taste. Ha! And you'll even see that almost every one of the Pokemon here have abilities named after at least one part of their ability kit in-game. Usually they're passive. I imagine that at least our first 3 Pokemon here all would live in some kind of Piltover, Zorn-esque city in a Pokemon movie all about them. And it'd be called Arcane. And it's already out, just replace everyone with Pokemon. I've got great ideas, people. Gauntlet, the Brawler Pokemon, a pure fighting type. Deep in the backstreets of a certain city, Gauntlet is always on the hunt to stop their counterpart Mania from causing chaos. They create special gauntlets from the bones of dragon-type Pokemon with the help of Warwolf, and train under them, gaining unparalleled combat prowess. Gauntlet is a kind Pokemon that detests both unjust and annoying people and Pokemon. Gauntlet has the new ability Blast Shields, which reduces the damage this Pokemon takes when it hits a Pokemon with an attack on the same turn. Vi's team would have a Gauntlet, a Pangoro, as it kind of reminds me of Clagger, a Sneasler, a Midnight Lycanroc for Vander, a Paldean Taurus, reminds me of a Season 2 outfit a bit, and a Lopunny with a Mega for a Caitlyn stand-in.
I think I know what you need.
You don't seem to listen,
A
partner.
bit of advice. Don't threaten the guy who pours the drinks.
Alright, this one may have some unintentional Season 2 spoilers, so skip to the time here if you want to go past it, because I'm doing Vander now. Vander is such a cool character, man, why did they have to do him dirty? I mean, I get why, it's just so sad. Anyway, Vander is a big old punchy lad who goes by the name of the Hound of the Underground, and I think it's perfect that these two cat Pokemon would be taken care of by a massive wolf man like dog Pokemon. Yes, okay, full spoilers here, we all know Vander is Warwick, the titular puppo from League of Legends, so I based my design heavily off that. This tall, lanky dog-like Pokemon that looks a little cocky and not like it'd be friendly at all, as well as a little awkwardly proportioned because Vander with shimmer in him as well as Warwick themselves have very strange monstrous proportions. This Pokemon Warwolf would have sharp claws but also metal plates on their knuckles to call back into both Warwick but also Vander's massive hunks of steel he calls gauntlets that he uses in the show. Warwolf, the hound Pokemon, a steel and fighting type. Deep in the backstreets of a certain city, Warwolf is said to have been a human transformed into a Pokemon, although there is little evidence to support this. Warwolf took in 2 young Pokemon and taught them to be kind and strong fighters, but tragedy struck, changing their lives forever. As a strong brawler, Warwolf chooses to use the tough plates on its hands rather than claws. Warwolf has the ability Eternal Hunger, where it powers up physical moves at the cost of their own health. Damage heals this Pokemon when it's at half HP or lower. Vander gets the whole package. A Warwolf and a Gauntlet. No mania here though, no. Instead I'm gonna give him Baniri for Powder, a Mousehold, a Crabrawler for Benzo. Might have done Benzo a bit dirty here, but he looks like him. And finally an Annihilate. Too soon maybe?
Ever wonder what it's like to drown?
No, I always get chills from that scene in Arcane. Man, Silco is just this villain that goes beyond any other villain. His design at first didn't call to me, but dude's got that drip. And also a roaring drug trade. Good for him, I guess. Silco kind of straight away reminds me of a reptile. Snake would have worked well, but I went for a sort of Gila monster. Not only did they have that like nasty venomous spit, which is a great call for the shimmer that Silco produces, but also due to the degradation of Silco's skin from the poisonous waters he was drowned in. A Gila monster's skin coloration kind of works really well to look a bit like it. I wanted like that sort of Inteleon build here. Actually, Silco and Inteleon work pretty well to be honest. Bit of a big brain flex here, but I made sort of a shed skin to make it look like he's wearing a coat like Silco. And with the colors it had, oh, my brain just hurts from how big it is. Shimeko, the Shimmer Pokemon, a poison and dark type. Shimeko ruled over the Pokemon of a certain city, using a strange poison concocted within its body. This poison would cause the Pokemon that ingested it to surge with power, but they would slowly begin to fade away. Shimeko works hard to achieve its goals through any means necessary. Although its body isn't the strongest, it will mercilessly attack any foe, no matter their size. Shimeko has a new ability called Kingpin, where this Pokemon copies the stat boosts of enemies and allies. Shimeko also has a signature move in Shimmer Spray, a 5 PP poison status type move with 100% accuracy. Shimeko unleashes an arena-wide spray of a special concoction. Every Pokemon in the field that's not poison type becomes badly poisoned, but also has all their attacking stats maxed out. Silco's team would have a Shimeko, an Alolan Muck, it reminds me of the disgusting water of the river Pilt, and Singed. A Toxicroak, like, come on, that's literally Savika as a Pokemon. A Weezing or possibly Galarian Weezing, depending on what he wants to do with the gas, and also it's very singed. A Alolan Raticate, as I feel like we may see a Shimmer made Twitch sometime soon. And finally a Glamora, as the flower is where Shimmer comes from, and a toxic rock flower like that just, it works so well.
No, thank you.
I'm rushing out.
Unbelievable.
Cupcake time, Caitlyn herself. This one was actually pretty hard to figure out. I mean, I didn't want to make a cupcake Pokemon for her. It's just not really fitting for her. She's a literal sniper and an enforcer. So I went a bit esoteric here and decided to go for a harpy eagle. Well, maybe a hawk too? I'm so sorry, but the harpy eagle is a great hunter, and with their massive talons and speed, but more so than anything, those big head feathers. See, I needed an idea for that big goofy hat. I love the hat. I know she doesn't have it normally in Arcane, but it's just so iconic. So I thought if I made the feathers on this Pokemon big and goofy, it'd work relatively well for it. I went back again for this one and changed up the proportions a bit to make them a bit skinnier and more streamlined. Instead of actually sniping this Pokemon as the bullet. What a twist! Hawkira, the Enforcer Pokemon, a pure flying type. Hawkira are stalwart protectors of Pokemon, harboring a deep grudge against Manya and constantly hunting to stop them. With speed so fast that being hit by their claws is said to feel like being struck by a bullet, combined with their amazing vision and deadly accuracy, they can dive down from high altitudes and take down Pokemon as small as a cutie fly. Hawkira has a new ability called Headshot, which greatly increases critical hit rate on Pokemon who have lowered speed stats. Caitlyn's team would be a whole cast of enforcers and detectives, starting with Hawkira, and an Inteleon, the primo sniper Pokemon with the G-Max of course, a Gumshoos, one of my new faves, the Great Detective, Galarian Stunfisk, Yordle Snaptraps anyone? I'm going to give her a Stoutland, and the final one a Poltegeist. Show off that fancy side. Pinkies up, everyone. Ekko was one I didn't know what to do with. I opted to instead make it a strange object mon, and despite it all, I kind of dig it. The idea was that it'd be based off Ekko's Z-Drive. Something that you'll see in-game, but not yet in the actual Arcane season, probably definitely in Season 2. It's the machine that Ekko uses in normal League lore to go back in time a few seconds. It's weird that Ekko's old origin story is so different to Arcane, almost too much, but Ekko in Arcane was a treat. His whole scene on the bridge with Jinx was just mwah. So yeah, it's a Z-Drive Hourglass with a clone that would constantly be following behind the main Pokemon, probably doing the same thing it did just a few seconds behind. I gave them a little Ekko-style haircut as well, being 2 clock hands. I thought it was cute. I know this one won't be everyone's cup of tea, but me? Ekko Z, the Z-Drive Pokemon, a Steel and Ghost type. A device built by a scientist to bend time to their will gained sentience and became a Pokemon. Ekko Z has the ability to warp time and send itself back a few seconds, making it a Pokemon that takes many risks to achieve its goals. It has often tried to save others using its powers, but usually it does not work out. Ekko Z has a new ability called Chrono Break, where when this Pokemon faints, it will heal to 1 HP after a new Pokemon is switched in. Ekko's team would have an Ekko Z, and I'm going to give 2 bug types to him here with Vikavolt and Orbeetle for the Firelights. A Toxtricity, it's a great mix of the poisonous vibes of Zorn and the sort of punk kind of look Ekko has. A Dragapult, as it looks a bit like his glider. And the Dialga, no, nothing that strong. I chose an Arboliva for the tree that brings hope to the Firelights and Zorn.
Are you Counselor Heimerdinger?
It's just Heimerdinger now.
Heimerdinger. Oh man, you were already a Pokemon. And so I did pretty much that. This one was a toughie, trying to make it have Pokemon proportions, but also there's not much that changes as I chose to make it this almost non-distinct like Fey creature. Didn't give it a fairy type though. I thought it'd be cool as Heimerdinger is already pretty smart that they'd be almost like a Tinkaton species, but they'd build things and use their psychic powers to control them remotely, like some kind of gunslinger engineer from TF2. The original of this Heim was fine, but I didn't like the color of the turret, and it didn't feel very unified. The turret looked like it was made kind of meat, ugh. So I changed it to blue colors and made little Jaime sitting on the turret instead. Tinkertime, the turret Pokemon, a Steel and Psychic type. Tinkertime have expansive minds that allow them to turn scrap into almost anything. Many of them build turret-like structures that they control with their minds to protect themselves. Tinkertime have some of the longest lifespans known in the Pokemon world, allowing them to create great things and develop minds that are smarter than those of any human. Tinkertime has a new ability called Tech Affinity, where this Pokemon heals allied Steel-type Pokemon at the end of each turn. Heimerdinger would have a Tinkertime, little mini-me version of himself, as well as an Octillery as a stand-in for his turrets in-game, and Iron Fawns for the T-Hexy builds. Yeah, he builds a giant robotic T-Rex. I chose more support-oriented Pokemon for the rest, as he isn't as bloodthirsty as he is in the game. So I chose Klefki, Togedemaru, and finally Kling Clang because mechanics and gears. Alright, our last two arcane characters are the good boys themselves. Let's do Viktor first and end on Jayce. Viktor is the only one here that would have an evolution, as far as we know. A glorious evolution, in fact. But I'm not going to show it here, I'll save it for a possible part 2, so we avoid too many spoilers here. I thought for Viktor he is wise and kind, but frail, and to me that gave me owl vibes, and I thought the idea of a sickly, frail owl Pokemon who would curl one leg up due to this and whose wings were long enough and sharp enough to be used like a cane was kinda awesome and fit Viktor very well. This owl would be a real shaggy and awkward boy, and I'm sorry, can we just talk about that scene where Viktor runs along the docks? That's one of my favourite scenes in media, full stop. I cried. And it solidified Viktor as my favourite character in Arcane and in media kind of in general. But yes, if you know anything about Viktor beyond Arcane, you can obviously tell what I would evolve him into. Evolve! The Progress Pokemon, a Steel and Flying type. A Pokemon that seems quite sickly. Evolve's legs tire quickly, so it uses its steel blade feathers to prop itself up one side at a time. Incredibly smart, it seeks to overcome the frailty of its form in drastic ways. Evolve picks up pieces of steel and other objects to bolster its body. Once it collects enough metals, it evolves. Evolve has the ability Defeatist. For Viktor, he gets Evolve. I'm gonna go with a Clodsire here for a stand-in for Rio. It evolves from an Axolotl-like Pokemon as poisonous, and we're not doing Singe in this video, so I'll give it to him. A Galarian Meowth, unevolved because we aren't at that point yet. A Spiritomb, it's the closest thing I could really get to the Hex Core. I'm also going to give Viktor a Galarian Weezing. I know Silco has one or the other types, but it makes sense here. And finally I'm going to give him an Iron Moth, poisonous and robotic. I think it mirrors Viktor very well. I mean, most of the Future Paradoxes does, but the poison type fits in with the whole Zorn kind of thing. Our fancy lad himself, Jayce, was a character who in regular League lore, I goddamn hated. He was like Iron Man, but somehow worse. But Arcane Jayce has layers, like an onion. I thought for Jayce a sort of dog-like Pokemon, not werewolf, but like a Zamazenta and Zacian style legendary. Another one that's hammer-based, and that's kind of the whole thing. Jayce is an engineer, architect, but also his Mercury Hammer becomes a gun. So this doggy Pokemon has a sort of hammer hind legs that it would use to hip check enemies with, but also could bark out blasts of electricity. A real strange, semi-robotic dog. I thought it'd be fun to make its legs look like chisels, but at first it looked a bit goofy, so it gets changed to fit a bit better. Mercuros, the Hammerbow Pokemon, a Steel and Electric type. Theory suggests that Mercuros may have been a Pokemon that passed away, and was then experimented on to create a new Pokemon. The strange energy flowing within Mercuros grants it supreme intellect and some dangerous attacks. It can charge itself with electricity and slam its body into foes, or stay back and blast electricity from its mouth like a cannon. Mercuros has a new ability called Capacitor, which increases this Pokemon's speed when using different types of attacks one after the other. Mercuros gets a new ability called Mercury Hammer, a 110 base power physical electric type move with 90 accuracy and 5 power points. The user slams their whole body down on the enemy while charged with electricity. This attack has a chance to paralyze. If this attack misses, the user takes damage. Jayce's team starts with Mercuros, Tinkaton, Big Hammer of course, then a Rotom, the closest to a Hex-Tech gem I could think of, a Golurk and Magnezone for the various Hex-Tech he created, and for the final one I chose Sigilif, as it works well for the sort of arcane symbols he used for creating Hex-Tech. Phew, that was a whole lot of Arcane, right? Well, time to go watch Arcane now. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to share this around and make sure to like and subscribe and drop a comment on what you thought of the video. Also, comment down below who your favorite Arcane character is. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Oh, the misery. Every single person is my enemy.